Hi everyone, it's preserving season, so we're down here at Amore Cafe to learn all about making jam from fresh fruit. Cafe owners John and Casey Frances are award-winning jam makers. John is going to walk us through his process of making strawberry rhubarb jam from start to finish. We're going to learn some awesome tips and tricks, so let's get going. It looks so pretty. I love that rich red color.
And it smells so wonderful.
Yeah. So let's get started on this process. It looks so beautiful here. We're going to make a strawberry rhubarb jam.
So there's really 3 steps to the jamming process.
Okay.
First is you cut up your fruit. Yeah. So basically we're prepping our fruit so it's ready. We're today doing strawberry rhubarb, and this is rhubarb that we grew outside in the garden here of Amore Cafe, and then of course fresh strawberries. And it's really simple. You take the rhubarb stalk, which is kind of like a celery stalk if people aren't familiar with it, and you actually just cut it into sort of 1/4-inch size pieces. The rhubarb actually gets put in sugar overnight to macerate.
Okay.
So we did one last night, so this is one of our batches of rhubarb that's already been prepped and sitting overnight. And you notice that this is very dry, but all of the liquid in here comes from it sitting in the sugar and lemon juice and actually just kind of releasing some of those liquids that are actually in the rhubarb. Then you can go ahead and process your your strawberries. And that's just simply a matter of coring the strawberries and cutting them in half.
Just in half?
All you have to do.
Okay.
We make jam kind of the old-fashioned way, where all of the ingredients we use, your grandmother, your great-grandmother would completely recognize. So our jams are all fresh fruit, organic cane sugar, organic lemon juice. There are lots of different recipes that use very little sugar, which is kind of our approach, which is you use about half the amount of sugar that you do to fruit. Some recipes call for the same amount of sugar as fruit. You'll get a little bit more jam out of it. It's a little less costly.
Okay.
And then lemon juice. Now, the second step is we're going to cook the jam. And the third step is we're going to can it. Okay. So right now, I'm going to take what we prepared yesterday. We're going to put it in pans. We're going to make jam.
Okay. Yay. Let's do it.
So we're going to pour this into our pans. And this is kind of about twice the size that most of you at home might be making. Okay. So we'll just call this a kind of a double batch. And then once we have the rhubarb in the pan, we just add the strawberries and just split them up between the 2 pots as best as you can. And then we're ready to turn it on fire, and it'll take it about 10 minutes or so to get up to boil.
Very nice. This looks so beautiful in these copper pots.
Yeah, these are French copper jam pans, so these are designed specifically for making jam. That's all they're really useful for, and we love them. They're beautiful to look at, but they're really, really functional tools. They're shaped in a way to provide more surface area on the top, so the liquid cooks off a little bit faster, and they're just fantastic to work with. And for the home jam maker, there are a couple things that I would really recommend. One is always wear long sleeves, because jam does want to splatter. And then cover your work area. We just put tin foil up before we start cooking each day, and it allows us to have a much easier cleanup at the end of the day. So anything that's not easy to wipe down, like this stainless surface, I can wipe it really simply, but all the burners I've covered, the backsplash I've covered, and then on the floor, I put a couple of wet, clean rags. This gives me a chance to kind of wipe up splatters with my foot, and then I'm not tracking jam all over our kitchen or for the home user all over your house. It just makes the cleanup process much simpler, and it keeps you a lot happier. Long sleeves are an absolute though. We are now on boil. Okay. It took us a full 10 minutes for these pots to get on boil. So depending on your stove at home, it might take longer or less time. These are pretty powerful gas stoves, so they heat pretty quickly. So generally you might imagine it could take even a few minutes longer, but you can see everything's in motion, it's boiling. We're starting to get a little bit of foam that comes up when these jams cook. That's very normal. And so one thing about cooking jam that I think it's also worth noting, and I've learned over time, you don't need to worry it a lot. It'll want to stick from time to time, but you want to let it cook as much as possible without overly stirring it. So every time I stir it, it reduces the temperature takes a little bit longer for it to finish. So my desire is to find that sweet spot where I'm stirring it enough to make sure it's not sticking, but I'm letting it go ahead and cook.
You're just still leaving it at a boil?
I leave it on full boil all the way to the end.
Okay.
So on this particular jam, I never turn down the flame.
Okay.
If I'm doing some jams that want to scorch, like apricot is a jam that definitely wants to burn really quickly.
Okay.
After it's gotten to a full boil for a few minutes, I'll generally turn the flame down so it's not quite as hot underneath the pot. But this jam, it's really not too problematic. It's a really easy one to make. It ends up like getting where you want it to be in terms of finish without really any problem. You can't see much right now because everything is in boil mode. It's all foamed up. The strawberries, though, are already starting to melt in the pot, and that'll continue over the next 20 minutes or so. Typically for us, this batch of jam is going to take 25 minutes or so to cook to be completely done. That means, depending on the size of your batch, as a home cook, it may take a little bit less. If you use a little bit bigger batch and have a stove that's not quite as hot, it may take a little longer. One thing about jam is it smells wonderful, it looks wonderful, it's nice to be around, and you don't need to hurry it because it really will kind of let you know when it's ready for its next step.
Okay. And I noticed when you were pouring the fruit in at first, the pots were really only like even a little less than half full, and now I see why.
Yeah.
Because it gets, so you don't want to fill your pot up like.
No, you need some room for both expansion and foam. Most jams will foam some. Some do it near the end, some do it at the beginning. The different fruits behave differently, and you just have to give it a little bit of room. That's nice too about this angled pot. It won't come straight up the side of the pan and over the top. But if it ever does, the simple solution is just turn your fire off for a second and the foam will go down almost instantly. And then you can turn it back on again.
Okay, very cool.
While the jam's on fire and cooking, I just wanted to talk to you a second about the canning process. We've actually prepared all of our jars. So all of these have been washed and rinsed, air dried, and then we put them on trays to go in our oven because we want the jars to be hot, and we're going to put the hot jam in them. It's a hot pack process. It's a very safe one. It's probably one of the safest things you can do. We use a couple different sizes of jars. We use a standard little 8-ounce mason jar with a 1-piece lid. You can get them with 2-piece lids as well, and that's how most of them are available at the store. Once we turn the jam on, we actually put jars in the oven, and the oven is set to 225 degrees. So we want the jars in at least 15 to 20 minutes, because what that will do, it will both heat the jars so they're heated evenly, but also will sterilize them. You don't want to set it too high because the jars get too hot, but 225 seems to be a perfect temperature, sterilizes, and gives us a nice hot jar to work with to fill.
And these jars, it's like a special type of glass that can withstand the heat, so people don't need to worry about them shattering, getting thermal shock or anything.
Not at all. They're designed exactly to do this. You also can do the same thing if you don't have an oven at home with a water bath. So you can actually put the jars in boiling water, and just before you're filling them, take them out, let them dry for a second, put the jam in, put the lids on, same process, either with a hot oven or a hot water bath.
Okay, gotcha.
You'll start seeing here pretty quickly, this jam is going to want to get a little splattery.
It's like, oh yeah, for sure. Your tendency would want to be to turn the burner down, but you really want to keep it up.
You want to keep it up. I also want to skim a little bit of this white foam that's now settling on the top of the pan. This is actually, there's nothing at all wrong with this. It's perfectly good, and you could leave it in. The jam will be a little bit shinier and prettier. If you leave the foam in, it'll have a little sort of cloudiness to it. We actually use this foam to make simple syrups for sodas for the cafe. I also take a look at my spoon to see how fast it comes off. And you can see that's kind of running off pretty quickly. But just for purposes of what we're doing today, let me get a testing spoon out of our freezer. We'll get a little sample and we'll put it back in the freezer to set for a minute.
Sounds good.
So I just take a spoonful of the jam. Now I'm going to put this in the freezer for 3 minutes. That'll give it a chance to cool and give me a sense of what it would look like if I stop the process now to have it set. So that's our timer. So our first test spoon is done. So I'm going to pull it out and see where we are. Okay, so this is our first test spoon. So that comes off really fast. It's not held together. It just kind of almost fell off of my spoon. So I'm definitely not ready yet.
Okay.
But it's getting closer all the time. And remember, while that spoon was being tested, it's already continued to cook for another 3 minutes. So I'm going to put one more test spoon in, and we'll see what it looks like 3 minutes from now. This is where we need, like, you know, cameras that provide smell as well as the visual. So this is, you can see it's much better than it was before. My guess is we're probably just about where I'd like it to be. So actually we're now ready to do the third part of our process, which is canning. It's always nice to have an extra pair of hands to help. We have our fantastic jam assistant here at the cafe, Kat Payne. Kat's going to be helping me put all this jam into jars. Our objective is to do it fairly quickly because the jam is still hot, the jars will be hot. That's a whole part of the process to make it safe and for everything to seal well.
Okay.
So first thing we're going to do is pull jars out of the oven.
Okay.
We have a couple of small half-quart and quart-sized pitchers. So it's really simple. A little funnel helps to make sure it pours as cleanly as possible. And I'm just transferring the hot jam from the pan into these jars. It's a pretty straightforward process. You can see how hot those jars are coming out of the oven. That one just almost reboiled the jam again. You're wanting to shoot on jam to have the jam about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch below the top of the jar.
Okay.
And there's some tools you can get, just normal little canning tools that can give you heights of where that is.
Okay.
So we can test it this way. We're right now sitting at about 1/2 inch. I want it to be a little higher than that, so that's why Kat is filling them. So we're really at the right height. We kind of know that, but we're also weighing it because we want to make sure the weight is accurate. Okay. And we weigh each jar of jam as we fill it. You know, working with these hot jars, it also helps, as you can see, they're very hot. I'm touching them and I have a glove on that helps protect.
But you're just also being really quick, so you're not...
Right. So now all the jars are wiped. We'll spin lids on these. And whether you do a 1-piece lid or a 2-piece lid, the process is really exactly the same.
Most the homeowner would use the 2-piece lids they would buy at the grocery store.
Right.
So I did notice you have this little magnetic tool to pick up the hot lids, because it would be hard to get them off the tray, especially if you have to wear a glove. So this is really...
It just helps.
This is really handy. Where did you get this?
I think I just got that at Smith's. It's
lid lifter?
Yeah, the lid lifter and the little bubbling tool, the little green thing that shows how high you're filling your jar.
Okay.
And both of those just came from Smith's.
Okay, that's really nice to get that on there.
What I'm going to do now, these all were filled in hot jars, hot lids, the lids are all on. I'm going to actually put these back in the oven for 10 more minutes. It'll just give the jars a chance to even out the heat. Then when I take them out to let them cool, everything is expanded inside the jars. It'll all shrink back down. The jars will seal perfectly. And in 10 minutes, we'll pull those out and let them cool overnight. Tomorrow, fresh toast.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be really fun just to have a taste of the jam that we just made.
Yeah.
Now that it's cooled down a little bit, here you go.
So excited.
Help yourself.
Okay. It's such a pretty color. The texture is awesome. This is truly fresh jam.
This is truly fresh jam.
I mean, you can almost eat the whole thing right now and not even want to bottle it up, just call everyone over.
Let's see if it's still my favorite to take to that deserted island. It's so delicious.
If I was in an interview, I'd say this is my favorite food. If someone asked me what my favorite food is, I'd say toast with jam. This is beautiful, John.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's not half bad. You guys like the bite?
So this has been a great opportunity for us to come in here and see a pretty amazing process of making strawberry rhubarb jam from a master jammer. Feel free to leave us a question or comment in our comments section, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook.